You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm really looking forward to today's Mindset and Motivation Monday show. Today, we're going to get into the dangers of comparing and contrasting. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, especially with a lot of clients who are stressed, they're feeling burnt out, they're feeling like they're not achieving their full potential, they're not where they should be in life, all of these specific things. And this goes for whether it's business or I work with a lot of moms and dads who don't feel like they're living up to their potential as a parent or what they should be doing. And this really is universal, and I believe it's gone back since the dawn of time, really from the very beginning. And I'll tell you the truth, it was a very good survival-based technique hundreds of thousands of years ago, because we would literally eat this mushroom and then you would die. Or you would eat this mushroom and you would live. You would eat this plant, you would die. You would eat that food, that animal, and you would die. Or you would live. It would make you stronger. And so we always had to be judging the world around us. We had to be comparing this food to that food, contrasting this to that. But we don't live in that type of culture anymore. We don't live in that type of society. And that's a great thing. It really is, because, who wants to have to try to figure out what foods are literally going to kill you and which ones aren't? We certainly have to look at that now in terms of like organic or GMO. Like that's a bigger stressor. But even if you would eat a GMO food, it wouldn't kill you right away, just slowly, but it wouldn't kill you right away. So that's one of those things to look at. So I also believe that really, as we've grown up, when we were children, we were very small, our parents, their conditioning from their parents and their parents was also passed down to us. And because of that, we got even more of this judgment-based mentality, looking at all the things around us, all the people around us saying like, this is good, this is bad, I should be this, I shouldn't be that. And we have these expectations, and we always don't feel like we're living up to what other people believe that we should be. And we kind of don't even realize who we are as a person, because all we are is a contrast to this person, right? Or we're being compared to an older or younger sibling, or a cousin, or a friend, or your coworkers, whatever it might be. But that's not necessarily us. It's a comparison to another person, but that's not you. And that's the biggest part of this equation that I'm talking about right now. And I want to talk more about in the future of how this judgment-based mentality really hurts us more than anyone else. But what I want to talk about right now is that in order to move forward in life, you have to start becoming better with who you are. And the only way to do that is to understand that if you're always looking around at other people, you basically have two choices. You're looking at them and you're looking at their environment and you're looking at their job and their family and all these different things that you see. And you're looking at them and you're saying, I'm either better than that person. And now if you say that you're better than that person, well, now you've set up all these expectations for yourself that you can't let yourself down. Like you can't ever drop below that level, because it's a level now of comparison. Meaning like now if you don't keep up with that, if you don't keep up with the neighbors, you don't keep up with the Joneses, you don't keep up with any of those things, you're now less of a person, right? You're now devalued in your own eyes. Other people may not be judging you that way, but honestly, their judgment doesn't really matter. It's how you feel about yourself. If you're confident in yourself, their judgment has very, very little meaning. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. But on the other hand, instead of you saying that you're better than someone, if you judge yourself or compare yourself to be worse than, not as good as, what does that set up? Well, it sets up lower self-confidence. It's a feeling of dejection that you're not worthy, and that then can translate into other areas of your life. And it can just bring you down. It can really bring your mood down a level, and your entire notion of who you are, meaning like, oh, well, I'll never be as good as this person. I'll never get those grades. I'll never get that job. I'll never get that house. That'll never be my family. I'll never find that type of relationship. When you're literally comparing and contrasting, you're not deciding what you want for you. You're deciding what you necessarily don't want, who you don't want to be, or who you more want to be. But now you're asking yourself to become another person. You're not asking yourself anymore to get the most out of you. You're saying, I want to be more like this person. But the truth is, you don't even know who that person is. And this goes so much for social media. We look at people on Instagram, we look at people on Facebook, we look at people on Snapchat and all the different social-based channels. And you're saying, oh, wow, that person's life is so glamorous. They have it all. They have the perfect family, the perfect kids. They're always eating well. They make these gourmet meals. None of that. That is literally set up for the camera. Instagram for a lot of people and Facebook for a lot of people is a business. And they're trying to show you their best life. And I think that's great. I honestly do. I have no problem with that. Absolutely no problem. Because it's something to aspire to, but it's not a thing to ever be achieved. No one has the perfect life. Everybody goes through their own trials and tribulations. So all of a sudden you're having a bad day and you're like, oh, well, I bet that person never has a bad day. I see them like out hiking in the woods. They're making these acai bowls. They're making these smoothies. They have these, beautiful lunches and gourmet dinners. That is literally set up for social media, right? I mean, how many people do you know when you're in the real world? Think about the real world, like all the parents at your kid's school or all of your friends, like who are getting out of work at 8 o'clock at night and like just grabbing food on the go. Is that real? Like, is that their real life? I don't believe it is because I live in the real world as well. And I talk with, literally we talk with hundreds to thousands of people each and every week. And so when I look at that, I say, this is something that is beautiful to look at on television. And the new television is basically our phone. It's looking at social. And again, really nice, something to aspire to, meaning like, I get to cook for my kids and my family, and I do like brunch or something like that on the weekend. That's one meal out of what? If I have, let's say 3 meals per day times 7 is 21. 1 out of 21, that's it, right? That's a small percentage. And I make smoothies every single morning. But do they look like those beautiful smoothies with all the different layers and the umbrella on top and the cute little straw, and then you pose it with a few blueberries in front of my purple crush smoothie? No, absolutely not. But if I was doing a photo for Instagram, would I do that? Sure, why not? Like, why not make this smoothie look like the most dramatically beautiful smoothie in the entire world? And the truth is, when it looks like that, it's more enticing. You want to drink that. And that's a great thing because you know what? Smoothies are one of the healthiest things in the world for you. It's literally packed full of antioxidants. So if someone, a blogger or a Instagram celebrity, we'll call that with big air quotes around it, is showing off these really nice dishes and these very, very healthy plant-based foods, I'm all for it. Now, do I think that yours is going to look exactly the same? Sure. If you have 45 minutes to make a smoothie, you can make it look like that too, but you don't have to. What we're trying to get at right now is that's their life. That's what they're kind of posing and setting up, but you don't know what's happening for the other 23 hours of their life. Like their kids are still yelling in the background. They have fights with their spouse or their partner. When they go to work, they're being like talked down to sometimes, and they're having to deal with the same struggles as everyone else. There's no doubt about that. Nobody escapes from that. So the issue is, though, we don't see that. And because we don't see it, we believe our life should be that. Like it should be this rainbows and sunshines and unicorns all of the time. And although I think that is a beautiful thing to aspire to, it's not reality. And the only point I'm trying to get across today is this, is that at no point should you ever want perfection in your life, but you should always be striving towards the worthy ideal and goal that you set for yourself. So like, let's say you do want to eat healthier. Great. Look at those beautiful recipes and then just make your smoothie, maybe your Buddha bowl for lunch, like we do for the detox, and then maybe a nice bowl of berries in the afternoon, or you do nuts, or you make guacamole and veggies, and like that's totally fine. That's good. But those are all 5-minute meals. Like that's quick. You don't need the hour to set up. Don't set yourself up for failure by comparing what is literally like a camera-ready meal, right? Yours is an edible meal. That's what you want it to be. And then also your workout. If someone's like in the best workout gear and they're posing in the gym, your workout can be just as great if it's down in your basement or it's in your living room and you're following along with a video on YouTube or whatever it might be, right? And then other people, like with the way that they dress, believe me, they're in jeans and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt 80% of the time as well. Right? But when they're posing for these photos, they're in a nice dress or they're in a great suit or whatever it might be. And that's okay because you know what? You can have that sometimes as well. I mean, like, why not plan a date night? and you go out. And why not get dressed up for that one night? Well, I mean, that's totally acceptable. Now, you can have that in your night as well, or your life as well. And you can say like, yeah, I am too. That's something that I can aspire to. Now, again, I'm not comparing myself to the other person, but I want some of that in my life. And that's a great thing. Or you're not contrasting saying, oh, I'm in better shape than that person. That's not what it's about, because you know what? What if that person is totally fine with the weight that they're at and the shape that they're in? As long as they're healthy, then that's fantastic. Now, maybe you want to be leaner than another person that you see, or you want to get in great shape like another person. Okay, totally fine, but let's not contrast. Let's say that person right now is a personal trainer. Their job is to train clients, and when they have an off hour, they're already at the gym. And I'm not saying it's easier for personal trainers either, because they still have to do it, but they get to work out. Like, they're at a gym. You know? So, and maybe they're 25 years old and you're 35 or 40 and you have 2 kids and you have a job and you're sleep deprived and all these things, right? Don't compare your life to theirs. Make your life the best it can be. But don't make it the best life for them. Like, that's their life. Let them do their own thing. For you, make your life the best that you can be. Plus, they may not have the balance that you want in your life. Maybe because they always want to look photo ready. And again, I've been there myself. Others have been there. You can't eat whatever you want. You can't eat multiple cheat meals throughout the week because you need to be camera ready. Like, you need to have abs. And if you want abs, very few people can eat pizza. Very few people can eat dessert, and they want to maintain those abs pretty much like 7 days a week. So you have to look at that. Like, you have to understand balance. So there's a lot of people who want a flat stomach and who want abs, but they're in great shape. They just don't have that. But they also want to go out with their friends a couple nights a week. And they also want to be able to eat some French fries. And they're not an ectomorph, so they're not naturally thin. Well, you now have to make a decision. Do you want the abs like that Instagram model? Or do you want to eat the French fries, go out a couple nights a week with your friends, and still be in really good shape, just not razor cut abs, right? Like, that's the compare and contrast. You have to understand, like, that might not be your life because you have other parts to your life that you do like. And you might not be just at that same stage as another person. We never know the other person's story. We don't know what they're going through, good or bad. And nobody knows yours. And that's why if you feel like anyone's judging you or comparing and contrasting you, get that out of your mind. That's their business, not yours. Like, legitimately, that's their business. What they think of you is none of your business. It's not. Because all your goal is to strive for the life that you want. Not to necessarily achieve every single part of it, but to strive for that. And that striving for it, believe it or not, is going to bring out the best in you. And when you bring out the best in you is when you feel your best. That is it. When you compare and contrast, even better or worse, then you still don't feel good. And you know why? It's because you come from a point of judgment. You literally are coming from a point of judgment. Even if you feel better because you see someone else and you're like, oh, I'm whatever, smarter, better looking, whatever it might be. You know, on a very superficial level, you might feel well, but not on a deep core level. And again, when you say you're not as good of course, that's dejecting. It lowers your confidence. But what if you start to compare and contrast less? What if instead of looking externally, you look internally? Once you start to look internally, figure out what it is that you want, strive for that, work towards it, set up a game plan, take one small step at a time, and don't expect it to happen tomorrow. I'm telling you, life will change. Life will change for the better. Not externally necessarily at first, but internally. And internally is all that matters. Your internal environment eventually becomes an external manifestation of what you're really living and feeling in life. If you're happy inside, there's a lot of good that will be on the outside of you. There's no doubt about it. You're angry, you're unhappy, you hold a lot of regret inside of you. You find and see and act in a lot of regret in your life, a lot of anger. All these things that are repressed subconsciously manifest themselves really on the outside. And again, that can then lead to saying, comparing, contrasting. Why does that person seem to have it all? Why can they lose weight and I can't? Why, when you start asking all of these whys, you're in the wrong spot. You really are. You need to just start pulling back to you. What is it that's most important to you? What are your core values? What do you really want out of life? So I want to end it with that, but I want you to think about this. Just take 5 minutes today during your lunch. 5 minutes during your lunch or before bed. That's it. And I want you just to write down, free form. Don't even think about it. What it is that you want out of life. Like, truly want out of life, not for other people. That's where the comparing and contrasting comes from. Don't want a better job or more money for other people. Don't want, that's not the right thing. What do you want for you? Do you want to travel? Do you want to end up in a certain career? Again, not monetization wise, but for the career. Do you really want to stay at home with your kids? What is it that you want? That's what you're looking for. Forget about everybody else. What is it that makes you happy? All right? I'm telling you, you do this little exercise, which I've done many, many times over and over and over. I probably do it once a quarter or so, and I did it all the time a bunch of years back. It helps set me on the right track. Now, again, yeah, of course, all these things creep in. That's part of being human, no doubt about it. But I'm happier than I ever have been, and I'm going to be happier, hopefully, in the future, regardless of money, regardless of career, regardless of any of these things, because I'm starting to live my purpose. I'm starting to live what I want. I'm starting to get more out of life and understanding more about what creates balance in my life and not what other people want for me or in terms of what other people have. So thank you everyone for tuning into another Motivation and Mindset Monday. And if this topic could help out anyone else you know, please do feel free to pass it along to them.
Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.